Everybody, surprise, it's me. Christopher was asked me if I could go live tonight. So for him, because we usually have a live on Thursdays, and I said, sure. So I am just going to wait a minute to get everything caught up here. Just make sure things are all good to go. Let me know if you're here in the chat. We're going to just have some fun, kind of a wild, wacky Tuesday. So let's see here. I'm going to go back to my home screen here. Hi, Kate. How are you? And there we go. All right. I see us live. And if I can get my TV to catch up. Okay. There we go. That's gone. I'm going to get that remote put away and we'll get started. All right. So tonight, like I said, Christopher asked if I could go live tonight. He's had some stuff he was playing catch up with. So I said, sure. Hi, Jamie. Happy Tuesday. Surprise. And we're going to have some fun, but I'm really excited. I'm going to go to my desk right away because I got something in the mail today that I have been wanting to order forever. And I finally did. And I finally ordered my inkstand from inkstandshop.com. I ordered both the small square, which fits the Brutus Monroe inks perfectly. Hi, Penny. And I got the, this one. What's the name of this one? This one didn't have the name on it. This is the small rectangle, and this is the small rectangle. This is the small square. And this fits my Time and Hurley Eats. Thank you. Hi, Joanne from Nashville. Hi, Amanda. And I just thought I'd show you. I got these. I'm super excited about them. I think I have them upside down, though, because I think the inks go like this. So I'm going to use them tonight. So thank you. But I'm excited. So I kind of was trying to figure out what to do. We're going to play with last month's stencil of the month. Hi, Luann. I still love this floral swirl. It is available. Hi, Kelly. I did link it in the description box. It is an affiliate link, which just means if you placed an order using the link for this or the Fox, that just means I get a smaller kickback, but there's no extra cost to you. So hi, Karen. I think I said hi to everybody so far. Welcome, welcome. So we're just going to play and see what we got coming up. I've got the Perfect Blend paper here. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to cut this down to, I'm going to cut it down to 6 inches just because, and I'm going to do 6 by 6 because that gives me a little extra wiggle room with our mixed media stencils to put this down. And I'm not going to use any pixie spray or anything. Just going to put it kind of center it right on. And I have some little washi tape here to the side. And I'm just going to grab it. Probably not going to do any glazes or anything since I didn't have any prep. I didn't prep anything ahead of time because they won't dry. But we maybe do some embossing. But I have been dying to make this a rainbow colored stencil. So I have a variety of inks. Most of them are Stellar inks, or I guess they're half and half. Let me put them in rainbow order here. They're all Simon Hurley inks, though. So I've got Bee Sting, Traffic Cone, Shooting Star, Later Gator, No Diving, and Crown Me. These are my favorite when it comes to a rainbow. And I'm going to start with my yellow. Like I said, I'm super excited to use this. I ordered just one to start. I am assuming I'll probably want 2. I don't know if I need more than 2, but 2 because sometimes I have 2 colors. If I do 3, I would just put 1 away because that takes a lot of space on my desk. And we're just going to kind of go for it. I always start with yellow when I'm doing a rainbow or when I'm using yellow because it's the lightest ink. And I do not want to accidentally put a dark color in it. And I'm going to throw my magnets down on here too. And then we're just going to see how it happens. I hope everyone had a happy Labor Day weekend. And if you haven't checked out The September release is live on the website, the subscriptions. Mine will be coming. Yes, the inkstand does now come in black, but I don't think these ones did. The ones that I wanted did. I didn't see them, and I was fine with them just grabbing. I kind of ordered them quickly. I will be honest with you. I ordered these on Friday, and they're here today. Now, granted, I mean, I don't live super far away from the shipping, but I still can't believe they got here that quickly. And we did have an extra, even with the holiday in there. So she shipped them Friday, and they showed up here today. So that was awesome. And I mean, so far I'm loving it. Now I know I'm shaking my camera a little bit. I apologize for that, but that's attached to my desk, and I'm kind of an aggressive blender. Yeah, I thought I saw they were just starting to make them in black. I'm okay. I don't have to have, I mean, if somebody, you don't want color on it, get the black. Doesn't matter to me. I figure it's kind of like using our squeaky clean bottles and your ink. They look used. It's okay. So I'm just going to use a bunch of my different blending brushes here. When it comes to the Stellar inks, remember, you don't have to load up a ton because of the foam pad. You know, you can just kind of tap it. I don't know why my camera is extra shaky today. But like I said, I am an aggressive blender. She does. Yes. She does. Yeah. And I knew that she would ship it quickly, but I didn't expect it to get here that soon. I expected to get it tomorrow, in all honesty. You know, just because I'm in little Nowhereville here, Iowa. And I mean that as in it takes a while to get, you know, the big things. Usually everything gets to Des Moines, and it can take 2 days to get here from Des Moines. Like, for example, this weekend, everything went to Cedar Rapids and then here. So that's fine. I'm super excited. Like I said, I was so happy it came. And I'm just going to keep doing a little blending here. This is some Later Gator. I think I'm going to use this. I do have 2 green brushes, but that's because there is lighter green, and I like to kind of keep that one by itself. You know, like the minty green. And I try to get a couple sets of brushes every so often and add them, you know, like if I'm getting close to free shipping or something, I'll add a couple of brushes in. So that way I can have like a pink and a red, or I can have a light green or a light blue. But it's not really necessary, especially if you don't have space. And we're going to run out of room, so I'm not going to be able to use purple, which is my favorite. So here's a good example. So I have a blue. You can see the blues. So this is more my clear sky, my turquoise, and this is more of my no diving and my midnight snack color ink. Not that it matters too much, but oh, we're going to have to add purple a different way. I'm so excited to see this, but we are going to add some sparkle. I would love to put some fallen snow over this and make it super sparkly, but like I said, it wouldn't dry in time for us to create a card tonight. So we're going to add some sparkle another way. You know my favorite way. I didn't even put that on my inkstand. See, I'm going to have to get used to using it. But I do like that I don't have to hold it, my inkstand, or my inks anymore. Okay, we'll add purple in another direction. All right, before I reveal, we're going to add my favorite, the Caramel Mist and Ornament Gold. I'm just loving this so much to add sparkle. I'm just going to shake it up a little bit to get that powder in the bottom here, you know, all mixed in, this shimmery stuff. And I'm just going to spritz it right over my stencil. Because it doesn't matter. I don't have a lot of other stuff on my desk right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and just dab this on top just because. Oops. And there we go. There comes the big reveal. Woohoo! I moved it too soon. But I am going to wipe this off because hopefully we can make a couple of cards tonight using this. And maybe we'll do a different color palette. Okay. Now let's remove our tape. And then I'll show you up close Look at how beautiful. Isn't this so pretty? I love this. And I don't know if you're going to get to see the sparkle. You can kind of see it. Okay. So we're going to let that dry for a few seconds. And we're going to pull out. I grabbed the Warm Fox, which was the stamp of the month last month. I've already got the SVG cut out. I already stamped it using my little negative piece, which I've shown how to do before. I'm gonna grab my little stick and stamp mat here. We're gonna stick him down, and I'm gonna stick him right in the center because I find if I stick it right in the center and I go to pop it, it comes off a lot easier. And then I'm gonna color him real quick. We are gonna use some markers. My tri-blends are too far away, so we'll just grab some Olos here. We're not going to do a big deep blend here. If you got the Stamp Club Plus, you did get a stencil that was coordinated with it that you could color in with blending. I showed how to do that in another video, but we're just going to do some quick, fast coloring. And this one is OR 4.2. I'm just going to do a little 2-color blend on this guy. So, all right, there's 4.2. Then I'm going to grab some 4.4. I'm just going to add a little bit of color to the edges. Blend it out just a smidge. And then, of course, got to put it under his little neck because, you know, that's where there'd be some shadow. And by the leaf pile there a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and just quick grab the 4.2 again and kind of just blend out the edges, just so there's not too much of a harsh line there. Nothing super fancy. You know, there are times when I want to sit and color and get really fancy, but then there's times when I just want to color lightly. And so, I mean, just took 2 seconds to really color that. Now, I'm going to use this 7.1 and go kind of around the white area. I know it's supposed to be more white, but he's a wild animal. He's probably not going to stay white. He's going to get dirty. This fun little marker thing is from my friend Blue Sparkle, Treasure, Blue Sparkle. I have a link on my blog for it. I have a couple of them. I like them. I would like to get eventually a stand. Thanks, Sandy. I do want to get a stand for my markers because I want to use these for travel, or my favorite ones. And I love them for that because when I travel, I'm not going to take all my markers. But if I fill 2 of these with like 2 colors of each or 3 colors of each family, I would have all the colors with me when I go. Thanks. That was the OR 4.2, OR 4.4, and the O 7.1, and then the 0 to blend it out. And then we need to color in some leaves. I'm going to grab this bright orange. I'm just going to color those in with one kind of color there. And then I think I'm going to grab this YO just because 2.3 for this other leaf here, just to add a different color. And then I'm going to grab my another box here and see they stack right on top of each other really well. So I really like having them. And I grab and just kind of color in. This is G 1.7. Not going to color these in super deep just because they're leaves, you know, they're tiny. You could add a little shading. And then I think I'm going to grab, it's going to be, I know it's kind of a brown color, but we got all that color on our panel. This is an OR 3.4, and we're just going to color in the pile of leaves. We might add a little shading to this. Just because it's a little bit, it's kind of close to our fox color. But It kind of reminds me of, and I'm kind of thinking I need to color that leaf a different color. That yellow. I think he's looking a little too pale. Let's add a little bit of 3.7. Just to add some darkness to the edges here. Add a little fun interest, and then we'll blend it out. And that's all we're going to do for this color. Blend it out there. Yep, we're going to grab a quick yellow. Let's just see if I got a brighter yellow. Yep, by 2.3. We got to make that a little brighter. It was kind of lost in there. And actually add a little yellow to the leaf pile. That just kind of adds some interest there. And probably need a very light pale red. We're going to color in his mouth with that and maybe add a little red to the orange just to kind of put that. All right, there we go. That's our little fox. Look at how fast that was. I'll pull that up closer, and then all I'm going to do is bend my stick and snap mat back. You can do it this way. You can do it this way, and then it just pops right off, just like that. All right, let's get our first card made. We need some purple. So I'm going to grab some purple cardstock, I think, but first we're going to cut this down. We're going to go ahead and just cut it down so that we get a rainbow. I'm going to pop off this edge first here on two sides. Actually, we'll just do all the sides because we don't need that little edge part, a little white edge part. Okay. I forgot to put a garbage bag in my garbage. Okay, we want all the colors. So we're going to move over, and I'm going to do 4 by 5 1/4, but we're going to do a little bit off the top and the bottom. And I'm going to do the top first because there's a lot more red than there is blue. So let's see what that looks like. Actually, I'm going to just take it off the top because now it's a little bit more, you know, the color is a little bit more even. Okay. We'll save this. We'll put this on another card. We'll make a second card with that one. And let's grab some purple. And I'm going to grab my favorite purple, the aubergine. And I'm just going to make a card panel with it. So I just cut a sheet in half, 5 1/2, and this one's going to be 4 1/4. Let's throw that back up and get it out of the way here. Because we got to have some purple. We just have to, because I don't think a rainbow is complete without purple. So look at how fun that is. Now, I will say, if you don't care if your rainbow is purple, it really pops off the black. Usually rainbows really pop off the black, but I want to use purple because it's my favorite. And we're going to just agree this to my card panel. And we're going to add this on. This is going to be a pretty simple card, but we can make several cards tonight. They don't all have to be lots of steps. So this is the perfect card panel. So I don't want to cut that down. I'm going to find another piece. Let's see. We'll just use this piece. That looks like a good piece. I'm going to put that purple away. And what I'm going to do is I couldn't find my little cutout pieces in my negative piece for my sentiment for the warm fox stamp set. I'm not sure where I put those little pieces. So we're just going to stamp it on purple because I think that's going to add a fun grounding element. And this is just a scrap piece. I keep all my pieces, especially pieces this size. Because they make great, I mean, I even keep my pieces that are this size because they make great sentiment strips. Oops, what did I knock on the floor? Excuse me, I got to pick that up. There was my bottle of isopropyl alcohol, and if my little pup got a hold of that, that would not be a good thing. He would take off running. And let's stamp it over a little ways. We're going to use our black ink. Now I want to make sure I've got it. And this stamp set is super fun. Warm hugs, my sweet friend, which is great because you're sending warm hugs, and then you got this beautiful cheery rainbow card. And rainbow colors just are happy colors. Okay. So we've got that. And then we can, I could leave that little bit of, I don't even know, I must be an edge of something. I must have used like a scallop to cut it out. I might leave that scallop on there. It's just kind of a happy accident. And I'm thinking we're going to kind of cover up between the green and the blue. So let's quick add some tape to this. I'm going to kind of add it between the green and the blue. I'm just trying to make it kind of, make sure it's kind of eyeball it. And then flip it over, and with my scissors, we'll cut that off. Then let's grab it. Quick. There we go. Just got a card base there. And I'm just going to quick put all right. There we go. And then I've got my little warm hugs. So you could do them over. I think I'm going to put him right here just because I think that's fun. And I'm going to add him up with some pop-up tape. Boom. And there we go. Okay. Let's throw that up. And we've got our first card. We do need to add some bling, though, in my opinion. So we got this. And then I think what I'm going to do is we're going to add a little gem to each one of these little circles. So we're going to grab the crystal flat pack gems. And we'll add, because I like the crystal with the rainbow color. And then I did kind of find out I had a little glue left in my glue press. Let's see if it'll work tonight. There we go. I don't need a lot because these are tiny little gems. You could add one to the center of each of the flowers. I'm going to grab my little pokey tool here. So, Francie, if you're watching, get your goggles on. I know sometimes she watches the replay, so. And then let's see here. Okay, there we go. There we go. Awesome. And then if you don't get it quite, it's nice to grab a little pokey tool, and that's why I like to use that our different liquid glues. This is Barely Arts. The Brutus Monroe glue is great for being able to, it doesn't dry quite as fast. I mean, some of this is already drying. The first ones are. And you get a little bit extra room with the Brutus Monroe glue. That's what I should have used for my gems, just because I put so much glue down first. And then I just grab a little towel just to kind of tack it on, just to kind of pull any extra glue off. And look at that, we got our first card. So pretty, I love it. And I love the sparkle, which you can't really see. Okay, let's move on and make another card. So for this card, I'm going to wipe this really quick. I'm not sure where my stencil spray is, so I'm just going to use some isopropyl alcohol tonight. I had to find my stencil stuff. When I moved my room around like a month ago, I moved my sprays so that they were all kind of together. And I think I moved a couple of them to the other side of the room and I just haven't had a chance to look for them. Okay, for this card, I'm going to grab another piece of Perfect Blends. This one I'm not going to worry about it because I cut that other one at 6 inches. It's only at 5. So I'm going to cut it down to 3.75 and then make sure it's right at 5 so that it's got kind of, we're going to have some white space on our card. Okay. And then I might throw a little, no, I don't want to do some pixie spray. We're going to do this and once again, I'm going to tack it down. Actually, what I think I'm going to do for this one, I should use my stick and stamp mat. Okay. Because we're going to have some white space on this one. I sometimes forget. I don't know why when I stencil. I need to make sure. I just need to be grabbing it more often. I think it's because I'm so used to using my magnets. Okay. I use my magnets to hold my stick and stamp mat in place. And then I do need to take the stencil down onto my stick and stamp mat because it's not got enough stick around the edges since I have the blending buddy on. We are going to use a little bit of the embossing powder of the month from last month. It's called Autumn Air. It is still available. There are a few left in stock, so that we'd use that tonight. I think it's beautiful. I should have done it on. Can we switch quick? Do you guys care? I'm going to switch it quick. I don't want to use the Perfect Blend. We'll save this one for a different card. Let's use some craft because it's very, very pretty on some craft cardstock. And I have, this is just an A2 card panel, so we'll just use this piece. Sorry about that. We're going to change our minds here a minute. Stick that down. And then we'll glue, just tape the top and bottom because we're not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to grab a little, I have a little foam dauber, finger dauber here, and I'm going to use our embossing ink. And I'm just going to kind of go in and we're just going to be kind of willy-nilly and stick it down. Just kind of crazy. I just want a little section of it. I did not do my anti-static powder tool, so we may have a big mess on our hands, but we'll just do some splatter. Sometimes I jump the gun and forget about that. And I just want to do it so that we have a little bit. I do want at least one full pattern. Just one full pattern for sure. Yeah, that looks good. Good enough. I just want kind of an incomplete coverage. We're going to pull that off. And, you know, you could leave it like this with the watermarking. All right, let's get that off my stick and stamp mat and stick my centerpiece back on. I'm going to grab a piece of scratch paper here. And then we're going to throw, this is the Autumn Air. It's so pretty. Oops, there it goes. I know, do you guys, you've noticed, you know, I got my new lights. I don't know if you guys noticed those or not. I mean, if they're helping, does it make things better? I've been using them now for quite a few weeks. I hope they make things a little bit better. There. So I still have quite a bit on here. I'm okay with that. But what I do kind of want some imperfectionness to it. So I'm going to take a pencil, or I mean a brush, and just kind of brush a few areas away so that it's not so perfect. And then I'll just tap that off. And then I kind of want it to look like it's tile that's kind of breaking up a little bit, you know, cracking, things like that. And then I'll just tap it off. And we're going to clean up here first before just wiping the extra little powder off my brush there. Now it's like, this is kind of like a red color, so it does kind of look like it's going to stick to everything, but it's not too bad. But what I like to do is take my piece of paper like this, stick it down in the edge of my garbage can and swish it really good, kind of like a Bob Ross when he would clean his brushes, and that gets all that extra powder out. All right, so let's do some setting on that. I'm actually going to tap it one more time on my right here on my desk. Get a little bit of that extra powder off, and somewhere here, have a towel, and just wipe it. All right, here's for the heat setting part. Try to bring it up closer so you can watch. Just heat my heat gun off to the side. And then I just heat it till it's not matte, it's shiny. There we go. And then look at how fun and look at the shiny on this. Now, it's kind of hard to see in person. It's an orangey rust color. I mean, you can kind of see it there. But on camera, it doesn't show up as it does in person, where it's this very pretty orangey rust color. And we are going to trim this down a little bit because we can. Trim a little bit off each side. So that I'm down to 4 by 5 1/4. That's kind of been my favorite. I've been really kind of obsessed with that size for card panels lately, and then putting them on a card base. I'm going to have to make a card base quick because I do want to put it on a craft card base as well. So I will just cut this in half. This is my favorite craft. I mean, I know there's lots of companies out there that make craft cardstock, but this is one of my favorites. It's the one I use all the time. So it's Lunch Bag. That and aubergine are probably my 2 favorite colors. And then I'm just going to go ahead and score this 4 1/4. Now I got to ask in the comments if there's, I know people have this thing. Do you score bump in or bump out when you do your scoring? Do you fold it in, like this bump? Do you fold it in, or do you fold it out? Do you care? I'm just curious. I just kind of fold it whichever direction I'm thinking about it at the time. I reinforce that fold just a little bit more. Okay. So we've got this, and I'm just going to, like I said, I'm going to pop it up on that panel. You know, I mean, and it's tone on tone, but I'm okay. I like that. And then I think for some extra fun, we're going to pull in. This is the Spiced Autumn Washi. Now I have several packages. I have 3 packages, I think, in here. I like to cut my top open and stick them together so I don't have packages sitting there. And that's because I love the color so much. I don't want to just have one gone. So I always order 2. And then I think I got an extra and I threw it in an order or something. And I think for some fun, I'm leaning towards the leaf one to bring up a little color for that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to add a little pop of color with a little bit. I'm just kind of looking here. I'm thinking about phone book. It's very bright though, but I could tone it down a little bit. You don't have a fold preference? That's okay. I was just curious because I don't know if there's a wrong or a right way. I mean, somebody might say there is, but I'm going to say there's no wrong or right way. Actually, do I want to use that or do I want to use that? No, I do not want to use that. So we're going to use some phone book, but we're going to tone it down a little bit. I just want to do fold in. Okay, thanks, Brandon. I'm just curious. We're going to go ahead and chop off 5.5, or wait, 8.5. So I'm just going to do it this way. Let's do, something just fell off my, yeah, I told you guys my thing is falling apart here. I got to figure out why. What is not attaching here? Sorry about that. Okay. Cut off 1.5 inches. I'm going to do 1.5 inches just because it's going to be easier. If I need to cut it down, I can cut it down. Okay. And we're going to kind of dirty it up a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of guppy because guppy is a little bit lighter orange, and I feel like this yellow is way bright, so we're going to add a little guppy. I'm just going to wipe my brush off because I was using traffic cone before. And that's a brighter. This is a lighter orange. Now, of course, I should have got my ink stand out because I'm going to need to use it. There we go. And we're just going to dirty up the corners as much as we can so that, and I mean that in not really, we're toning down the orange to make it more of this same color, this color, which on camera isn't gonna, you can see it in person that they don't match as well. The phone book is so much like, woo. I'm not gonna worry about the edges so much because we're gonna cut it down. And I may have to redo it again. But I'm going to try to go in a ways the edges. I don't care about these edges, the short edges, as much as the long edges. That's just going to make that phone book not quite as bright yellow. And it will match, it will coordinate a little bit better. I think that's what my mom always used to say. Mom, do these pinks go together? They coordinate, is what she would say to us. So that's not what I'm asking, Mom. I want to know if they clash. She didn't want to hurt her feelings and say, yes, sweetheart, they clash. We could have used some buttercream, I think, too, because it's kind of that. And I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to put it down. And I think I'm going to do it up a little bit higher. And then when we cut it down, we'll cut a little bit of that off. I hope I did that right. It's straight enough for me. So we're going to just trim that down just a little bit more. Now, this would be a good place you could put our sentiments, but I'm going to trim it off a little bit. Just going to eyeball that. That looks close. That looks pretty good. Now, this piece I will throw away. And then I'm not even going to ink it back up. I'm just going to add a little bit of extra color right on that edge. Just so it's not quite so yellow. All right. So now this is where we can switch this, and I think we might switch it to do it this way. We'll probably cut those off. But right now I've got this, which is really fun. And then we just need some sort of sentiment. And I think that's a pretty good card right there myself. So we're going to do some popping up on everything now. So I'm going to grab my foam tape here. We'll grab that many. And I just kind of space them out. Put one on each end. Then kind of and then I'll take one more like this and just kind of trim it a little bit. because I don't want anything to squish. Does that make sense? Sometimes when you send stuff in the mail, they squish when you don't put enough foam tape in certain spots. And then just do this one. Pop it down there. I think some twine would have been nice to wrap around this too, to kind of give it a little bit of a shabby chic kind of look or country look, but I'm not sure where my twine is right now. And that's okay. All right, so I'm gonna eyeball this. Looks good right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna add some more dimension. We're gonna add dimension to this too. And I'm just gonna add it to the center because I know that when I go to put it down, there's gonna be some extra. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball that. That'll be good enough to have that do that. Okay, so a lot of dimension on this card. So you may not necessarily, you may need extra postage, or this would be a hand-delivered type card, but all right. And then I'm gonna use my grid mat. I've been trying to be smarter about that. Hold that in place so I don't bump it. And I'm just gonna put it down. Excuse my head if I get it in the way. Just using the lines on my grid mat as much as I can. When you have a simpler card, you need to make sure those things work better for you. And I'm going to go ahead and snip off the edges. Now you could have flattened it and just put it on this piece, but I did it edge to edge. Some extra fun. And then we need a sentiment. And I'm going to grab one of our super sentimentals. Extra sentimentals, and we're just going to choose one here. I'm thinking I want to do, let's make a birthday card. We're going to use this happy birthday right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp it. We need to cut it out with a circle die. So I'm just going to set it on there, and that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and quick cut that out. I'll be right back. Okay, let's get those circle dies put away, and then we'll grab our Misty. And I'm going to be smart this time because we're going to tie it all together. We're going to use our anti-static powder tool. I should have done it after I put my stamp on it, but that's okay. Not that important. The nice thing about circles, if you don't stamp it straight, you can turn your circle. So add a little bit more. And then we got our embossing ink here somewhere, I think. I'm sure you guys all have crafter maths like I do, but after a live, it's crazy what my desk looks like. Especially if I've already been working on projects and I'm trying to very, very fast. We did a bunch of work over the weekend, so I didn't get as much done in my craft room as I would have liked. But I got a lot accomplished, so I feel really good about all that. So I did finally get a video done using some of the Stencilpalooza stencils. And I got 3 cards made with one stencil because I had plenty. But now I just got to get them edited and uploaded. All right, so we're going to cover that with that same sticky embossing powder. Or the embossing powder to the sticky ink, I guess. It's not really sticky embossing powder. That's kind of tap it off a little bit. And then kind of toss that in the garbage. I'll pull that out later. Let's heat set that quick. I'm going to try to find my tweezers quickly. I had them out yesterday. There they are. Because I'm going to be kind of close to my fingers. I don't want to hurt them. And then we got to do a little ink blending on this to tone it down. So you got my heat down. I'm going to let this. Hey, Mom. Don't be surprised if you have to get off the live and take a phone call. I'm just going to hint. You're supposed to be getting a phone call. So if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be upset. Mom. Okay, we're going to let this make sure it's nice and cool. And we're just going to dirty up the edges again. Like I said, to kind of make this. I'm going to do very heavily around the edges and then kind of lightly go to the center. Just to kind of tone that yellow down. All right. And then we're just going to stick this guy on. And I am going to put a little foam tape up on top because I don't want it to, yes. Oh, yes. It's along the lines of I sent you a text message, Mom. Or a messenger message earlier. So I told your grandson to call you after 7. So thank you, Heather. This is card number 2. So we got to add a little gems to this too. Let's see what we got. We're going to do the topaz. Even though there's not that yellow in there, we're going to do the topaz. And then we're going to make one more. So we might go a teeny tiny bit over. And because we got a lot of open space here, we're going to add our gems to here. That just kind of helps fill in that little extra space. All right, I'm going to add the topaz because that at least matches our theme more than the other colors that I have. I totally could do some sequins or some splatter. Some splatter on the happy birthday would be kind of cute too. All right, so there we go. We got card number 2. Let's quick dab off that glue. I like to do that while it's still, and I just go down, straight down. I try not to move, just straight down, straight up. Okay, so there's card number 2. Kind of simple too. And then our last card that we're going to do tonight, we're going to use this leftover piece. And what we're going to do, now if you have a square punch, this is probably that would probably work better. But what I'm going to do is we're going to do them all the same, and it's going to look kind of wonky. We're going to trim it up. We're going to trim up the circle squares that we have the final tiles left. I mean, you could totally do this with your scissors if you want, but I can't cut a straight line with the scissors, but I can line it up. Okay, I'm going to chop it off right there. Thanks, Mom. And yes, Mom. And those who might be listening from Minnesota, I am coming to spend the night at your house because I am going to go crafting that day. Now, I do have a little bit of a corner that's kind of not perfect there. We'll cover that up. I'm not going to worry about it because they're all going to have one of those. But we're just going to cut these little, I mean, we could have made this one big long, but I think it's kind of fun. And we could have also cut it right at the, I'll show you at the next one quick. Just going to line these up. So I am staying at your house in November, Mom. I'm going to chop this one off right there because it's going to be easier to work on. I'm going to chop this one. There's going to be they kind of look kind of weird. Like this one doesn't look like this looks diamondy. It's not look square. Isn't that weird? They're close. Oh, they're close. Anyway, you could also take it like this if you had the full square and chop it right. I'm going to show you right at this line like that and be a full-on square. And like I said, if you had a square punch, you could totally do it that way too, which would be fun. But I'm going to chop those off. We're going right up. And we're just using some leftover pieces. I've been trying really hard to use what's on my desk to make some cards or to fill in instead of making sure I, because sometimes we have extra pieces and kind of fill them in and put them on a card, instead of always stamping only all new stuff. Okay. So that was a little bit of kind of crazy cutting. Let's throw those away. And then we're going to go ahead and grab, if I can find it, my Raven cardstock. Oops. I have paper falling all over. I'm just going to grab a scrap. This looks like a good scrap. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's square because I see this side is not at all. I'm just going to trim that off a little bit so that it's nice and like a big rectangle. And we're just going to add these pieces to it in rainbow. Well, it doesn't matter if it's in rainbow order. I am going to go ahead and glue them down straight, flat. And yep, they're not perfect squares. That's okay. I'm just going to kind of eyeball them on the edges. This one's even more wonky than the other, but I'm okay with that. You could totally make them super square. Like this one is super not square either. But we're just going to go with it because we're going to cover some of it up. See, I'm just going to this edge is very rough. So I'm going to grab a sanding block here quick. Trimmer must have caught it the wrong direction just to kind of do that. Let's see. This looks like a straighter edge. All right. Then we're going to go ahead and cut these off quick. And I'm just going to trim them down so they've got a little bit of they're pretty close to the same size on this side, so I should be able to trim it down fairly close. It's not perfect, but I will fix it. I said it's just an extra little fun piece to make kind of a wonky card. So see how that kind of pops? That black pops with the colors, with the rainbow. It just makes it pop a little bit more. Okay, that looks good. From what I can see anyway, it looks good. Okay, so now we're going to just take a card panel. Actually, we're going to go right to our card base. And I'm going to take my purple blending brush because there's no purple, but I have all the other rainbow colors. And we're just going to kind of add some purple to the background. This is totally just a random fun card. And I mean that by just you're grabbing and playing and experimenting because it's just paper. I'm going to add a little extra purple to my brush. Just tap a little bit off, and I'm just going to go around in circles just to add a little purple to my card. And then we're going to arrange these kind of in a wonky little pattern. because they're not the same size, and that's, I mean, they're different, and that might bother some people, but I think it's the fun part of this. I'm gonna add a little foam tape to the back of them just to kind of pop them up a little bit. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to add a little black splatter with the Raven Aqua Splash, just a little bit. Just to tie in a little bit more of the black. And we'll heat set that quick. There, that's good. And we're going to set these on. And we're going to add a sentiment. And let's see, for placement, we need to kind of put this guy here. And we're kind of setting them in. I'm going to kind of do them like a puzzle piece. Red, orange, yellow, green. So I want the green up, blue. So then I got my orange and my yellow, right? And then I got red, which it's a lot of red and just a little tiny bit of yellow down there, or orange down there. So we're going to do that one right here. And then we're going to find a sentiment that will work with this. And I'm going to grab those same, because I think, actually, do I have that close? I do. I'm quickly going to grab one stamp set out of my stash. Maybe. Talks amongst yourselves. I have it here, but I wasn't expecting to use it tonight, so I didn't grab it. And I think it's perfect for this. I don't believe this may not be in stock, and I apologize if it doesn't, but there's this was from CYOE, Sunny Sentiments, and I love this Shine Bright in all your colors because they're all different little squares. They're all different colors, and so it kind of is the imperfectness of. And I think the sentiment matches perfectly. And we're going to just stick it in right here. Just kind of looking where my dots are. That will work. Okay, let's get this in the corner. We'll add a little bit of shimmer and we'll be done. It's kind of a one-layer card, even though we have those things popped up on Pop Dots, but it's very simple. You could do this with lots of different images in little packs of 3. You would not have to pop them up at all. But look at how that kind of ties it all together. And I like that all 3 of my squares are like little wonky shapes. They don't match necessarily. We're going to spritz it quick. We'll spritz the whole thing quick just to give it some shimmer everywhere. And then we're going to add some crystal gems. Baby, you're still on my desk. And we're going to throw a crystal gem in the corner of each, or a crystal gem in the center of each one of our flowers. If I can get glue to come out. There we go. And that is our card for our third card for tonight. So I hope you had some fun watching me use last month's stencil of the month. Like I said, the new subscriptions are available on the website. This one is called Floral Spiral. I have linked it in the description box below if you would like to get this. It's one that I was so excited to have, and I didn't get to play with it as much as I wanted to. So I was glad to get to do that tonight. Let's kind of clean off our desks. I'll have to squish that down a little bit more. I'm going to stick my little magnet on it so it stays. Let's pull our other 2 cards in. So here were our 3 very different cards tonight using the floral swirl stencil, and added some other fun things. The 2x3 stamp set from last month, a warm fox, just some sentiments, and then embossing powder from last month, or all that. So check out the website, check out the store. Thank you very much, and thank you, Zena. And check them all out. Have a great evening, and tomorrow night will be Men of Monroe, and then Christopher should be live with us on Thursday, and then I'll be live again on Friday. I haven't decided what we're going to play with yet. I just got a box in the mail, so we'll see what I'm going to play with. I haven't even looked through it all yet. So have a great night, everybody, and I will see you on Friday. Bye.